Do you want to clap? Do you want to clap? Yes. We can keep that bit in anyway. Welcome to the Wisdom of Womanhood podcast. Once again, friends, I am one of your co-hosts on this fantastic podcast, Shall We Moon, and we're actually doing a double recording today because Pippa's due date is creeping up on us.
I can't believe it. I was just thinking, I said to Chris then, think of how much I've grown through like literally finding out in February I was pregnant. That's when we started the podcast in March. Like, so it's been the whole
I
journey.
know.
That's crazy. Oh, and he's only a few weeks
The fact that
away.
we manifested a baby through the podcast.
I know. Yeah, it's insane.
It's so good.
I know.
Amazing. So, this is going to be a really fun conversation. It is always a hot topic and is something that comes into particularly the spaces of spiritual personal development all the freaking time. You can just open your Instagram and you're going to see manifestation, manifest your dream life, manifest your partner,
Yeah.
manifest. And so we thought we would jump into a bit of a dissecting of what the fuck manifesting is, how how you actually can harness the power of manifestation, utilizing the body, utilizing the mind, and all of these pieces. And there's some of our own personal experiences of the powerful things that we have manifested in our lives. And in this, what we'd love to do is just help to drop in and plant the seed for you listening that anything and everything is possible.
Mm.
Okay, and we start to believe more in miracles, when we start to create more space in our body to hold the capacity of the lives that we can live, the love we can experience, the bodies, the health, the prosperity, like all of these things, anything and everything is possible. And so these are some of the tools and some inspiration to help you blow up your life
Mm.
and really feel through us, and also know through your mind that you can fucking manifest your dream life.
Mm.
And it isn't this like woo thing, and it isn't, oh, if I just sit here and do nothing about it but think about it, it's going to happen. Like, no, we have to be practical in it. But yeah, we're going to get into it, and I'm really excited because, like, I love this shit. I literally just shared a post about orgasmic manifestation because it is real as shit. It is so fucking real. Yeah, so amazing. Where do you want to start? Like, what were your first experiences of coming across manifestation, like conversations, stories you started hearing, maybe stuff around law of attraction? What was like your first encounters with this as a not even a concept, like as a practice?
Yeah, I was just about to say the secret shows you about law of attraction, but what I didn't like about the secret, from what I know now, is like what you just said. You don't just sit there and think of something and go,
Yeah,
I'm just going to sit here and just manifest this, this, this. It's like you got to
totally.
take the inspired action. It's like, it's that, what's that? It's on Eat, Pray, Love. He's the guy's praying to God, please, 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 God, let me win the lottery. Please, 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 God, let me win the lottery. And then the God replies, please, 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 son, go buy a ticket.
So buy a
Like,
ticket.
yeah, like, so that's just like a simple concept of like,
Absolutely.
what inspired action are you taking? So The Secret's great. I mean, if you haven't watched it or read it, I definitely would start there. And the power of your thoughts. And it blows my mind what you can actually manifest and the things that you wouldn't think you wanted to manifest, but they came into your life for a specific reason, a specific thing to, like what we say, manifesting bad things. They're not technically bad things, they're just things that move you into different directions in your life. So I think everything has a place in manifestation in general. So I think
Mhm.
secret for me definitely, and then I started like Rhonda Byrne. I started to read The Magic. What's the
Mhm.
other one she's written? There's The Secret, The Magic, The Greatest Secret. So obviously she goes into more depth around it. But I think just like Law of Attraction, and then Abraham Hicks, listening to her a few years ago, and then just realizing like the power of thought. And I think for me, manifestation, one thing I learned the most was you can manifestations is available to everyone, but do you feel deserving of what you're manifesting?
Absolutely. Are
You
you
know,
open to
like,
receiving what you're calling
yeah.
in?
And that's one thing I had to work on was
Mhm.
one of my biggest dreams of my whole life was to meet the man of my dreams, meet a man that was my fairy tale. That was kind of like what I always saw as growing up and then having a baby and things like that. But Chris is everything I manifested, and that story is absolutely just fucking wild, with what happened there. But I felt deserving of it when it did come. I was like, I deserve this. Like, I fucking
Mhm.
deserve this. So I think it
Mhm.
just has very multi layers to it, obviously. And I think, like you said, manifestations everywhere, isn't it? Like manifesting this and manifesting this. And I think just people get frustrated with it. They get frustrated with, like, why can't I manifest? I'm not manifesting. And it's like, you are, though. It's just that thought process of like, and feeling. It's like not even about thoughts, it's feeling, isn't it?
And I think there's two parts as well in us being open to receiving what it is that we are calling in,
Hmm.
and also having the space and capacity to actually hold it and sustain it.
Yeah.
In order to have the partnership, there has to be the moving through of the traumas and the wounds and the stories and all the shit that's in the way that's blocking you from actually being able to call it in. And not to say the growth doesn't continue after you've called the person in. Absolutely, it should continue. However, we are often subconsciously blocking ourselves from being able to have the space and the capacity to hold.
Yeah.
It's even like getting the nervous system prepared for creating more wealth, creating more abundance. Otherwise we'll try and receive things and it can overwhelm the system
Yeah.
and we won't be able to sustain it. So, this is why the body is so important within this conversation, and the thoughts, the visualizations, the affirmations, all of the different pieces are really valuable. However, it's got to be integrated down into the body as well. We've got to work in synchronicity. And then as well as that, the actual in the physical inspired action.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, just having fun with it. Like, I think
yeah.
some people take it really seriously, and it's like, have fun with it, play with the universe, start with
Mhm.
small things. I used to love doing manifestation. Like, we used to do manifestation challenges a few years ago, and I'd get a group together and we'd do little challenges of like, think of a color, think of a color in your head and think of an animal or an object. So people think pink elephant, for example, and within like a day or so, it would just show up. It would just
Yeah.
show up. We'd show it in the group, and they're like, "What the F?" Like, how often do you see pink elephant? Or whatever object it was or whatever they were thinking
Mhm.
of, and it was like it just got that real inspiration going in the group because we were just like, it's like when you think of a certain car, you want a brand new car and you love this car and then you see it everywhere. It's like you drive and you
Well,
see it.
and there's the science behind that is the rad system, right?
Mhm.
Like it is actually the part of your brain that as soon as you drop things into it, it is hardwired to see it.
Look for it.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's working with the brain, and how it works is like the more that you feed it and you ask it what it's looking for, then you're going to see it. Perfect example is like a single person saying there's no good men or women, and all you're going to see is the
It's
fact
the
that there's no
bad.
good men or
Mm.
women. And so in order to change that perception of how you see the world and see yourself, and then be able to see it once you're calling it in, it's what you're feeding your brain to be able to see and witness around you. Otherwise, you're only seeing through the lens of what you don't want because that's what
Yeah,
you've programmed.
yeah, yeah. And I think it, like we were talking about, whatever you want to manifest. I think sometimes as well, like we, it's like we can get obsessed with it. Like we can kind of like focus on it too much. And I think people
Mm-hmm.
get confused about the wanting and then obviously like saying I am. There's a lot of confusion around like because obviously I remember reading something really interesting a couple of years ago and it said if you're saying to the universe, I want, the
You're
response is
saying you're in
wanting.
lack. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, so it's funny. We always catch ourselves like, I really want this, and I'm like, but then it's like rewiring, being like, I have it, and then that's when the magic teaches you just about the gratitude and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like you mentioned, Shao, like the making space for it, the amount of people I worked with
Yeah.
years ago when I did a lot around manifestation, was they really wanted a partner. They had no space in their life for a partner. Like they
Mhm.
literally had no space for a partner in their life. The capacity to even have a partner in their life at that time was they just what wouldn't have matched. You know, they were just doing until they realized like I need to make space. And then they brought like feng shui into it and things like that, you know, like setting up, like having like, you know, couples on pictures and things, you know, bringing in that energy into the home and having fun with it. You know, that's what I loved the most
Totally.
about picking a
Mhm.
certain thing I want to manifest, is having fun with it and seeing how it shows up in your life in different ways.
Even simple, like really simple things. Like before I met Michael, I decided and I knew that the next person I met that I was also going to marry. Like I was like, oh
Mhm.
cool, I'm gonna get married again. And so I started making a wedding playlist on my phone. Like I was just like wedding and I just started adding songs into it, and I was like making a wedding playlist for my wedding, I hadn't met the person yet, but I knew it was coming. And so it's just like those little things. So what am I telling myself when I'm doing that? I'm telling myself I'm meeting a person that wants to marry me. It's like these little things that we can do and have fun with and play with, like you said, and not take it so seriously. But that the art, and this definitely comes with practice, the art of falling in, creating space, knowing that universe has a better imagination than us anyway. So surrendering
Yeah.
that to the universe and trusting in the timing, and in that space between here and having the thing, doing all of the things that are going to lead you to it. And this house is a great example of that. So when I was moving from my old house, first of all, I decided, I was like, okay, we're going to be moving. I hadn't started looking or anything. So I started packing, just started like packing. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm like getting into it. We're moving, we're packing. And then I really started feeling into what is it that myself and my three kids are going to feel supported in, are going to feel expansive in, are going to feel grounded in. And I very clearly started like a list of things. And, it was like living around the corner from my daughter's new college, living around the corner from my son's best friend, living around the corner from the basketball, and all like, and I specifically said within walking distance. That would be great. Like all of these things. And then I actively went to house listings. And so I went to go and view houses. And as I was viewing those houses, I was accumulating the things that I liked and I wanted. And I was saying no to the things that it wasn't. Even when I was offered houses, I was like, it's not all the things.
Yeah.
And then so I went to a house, they had an outdoor shower. I was like, sweet, outdoor shower. Went to another house, like wooden floors, great, wooden floors in the living spaces, but carpet in the bedrooms. Went to another house, and everyone I went to, I just like took the pieces. I was like, I want planter boxes, like grass out the front, walking distance to the beach, like walk-in wardrobe, two bathrooms, one of them bath, like very specifically started putting into place this list of things that was going to be in our home. And then I would go into visualizations, meditations, like feeling what it was going to feel like to hear the ocean in the new house,
Yeah.
like feeling what it was going to be like when Edie can just walk to school in the morning next year, and that's going to feel so great. Just actually working with the mind, with the body, but practically taking action, right? And I was even like, oh, it's not going to be a house that's listed. Someone I know within my community is going to come to me and say, we've got a house for you. And all of it, down to the absolute details, was in this house I'm sitting in right now. All of it. Even down to the fact that they were like, oh, actually, you can just pay less. Like
Yeah.
just
Woohoo.
everything, the whiteboard. I visualized a whiteboard. I didn't even know it was here when I first moved in. And the boys were like, oh, there's a whiteboard there, mum. Just like so many things. But it's that balance of calling and trusting in the timing, trusting in the process, inspired action, and like being in this playful dance with energy, and also like for me it was like this house costs more than my old house, and I was like, okay, what am I actively doing to bring in more income to be able to pay for our new life? I didn't just fucking sit there and be like, oh, I hope that someone gives me an extra $300 a week. like you've got to actually choose to participate in that. But for me, I was like, oh my gosh, how exciting. I'm going to be calling in clients where I get to do my heart's work, and I'm
Yeah.
going to be getting given this money every week, and it gets to pay for this life I get to have.
Mm.
Right? Like, and that's the difference between being in like abundance mindset or lack
Like,
mindset,
yeah.
and being like, oh, poor me, like I'm not going to be able to do this, or it's going to be hard. Like, it's all of it, all of the messages are going out into frequency, and this is fucking science. It's not woo woo. Like, this is, we are frequency. Everything else is how we attune ourselves is what we attract in.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. Like, it's just such a fun, playful thing. But this is like, that part I think is something that people get confused
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
They think they're doing it, but all the pieces, like, you've got to be participating in all the pieces along the way, and say no to what it's not, so you can say yes to when it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all them feels. And I think one thing I related to a lot where people do feel stuck is staying in that victim mentality of like, oh, it's not here yet. I'm not worthy then, or I'm not deserving of
Yeah.
it. And I think that's where I got stuck in that rut, earlier on when I first kind of watched The Secret, and I was like, I started to like kind of grasp it a little bit. But then I was like, it's funny because we shouldn't really be saying like want really, but one of my jokey kind of
Desire.
affirmations that I use all the time, I'll laugh with Chris and I'll say, I always get what I want.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a laugh, it's like a joke between like me and the universe. I'm like, yeah, see, I always get what I want. And I think I remember being that victim mentality of like, it's not happening, it's not happening. And you use that word surrender, like surrendering is the hardest part because you want it now, you
Mm-hmm.
want it right.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go, universe, I want this, and you want it handed on a plate to you. But hang on, everything's got to be aligned in that moment, hasn't it? The time, the place, the people, like you said, the home, like that home had to become available for you. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same with our house. Like we took a valued risk, which can obviously come into manifestation sometimes. We took a calculated valued risk. We offered a certain amount for this house, even though we hadn't even had the mortgage in place yet, because we believed that we would be able to
Mm-hmm.
afford it. And we kept believing that. We were obviously like,
Trust.
belief, 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 belief. And there was that little niggle in the back of your head going, but what if? And I'm like, I didn't want to give it any hours of where
Mm.
it was there. And Chris and
Mm.
I would sit there and
Beautiful.
visualize. And I remember, similar to you, Shao, like coming into this house to view it. And the second time we came back, I remember like going to the front door and closing my eyes and visualizing like this is my home, and opening the key with the door, and I was like going in the bedroom and I was like visualizing like running a bath and getting in the shower and then in the kitchen cooking dinner and things like that. And people
Yeah.
must have been walking past me going like, because I was closing my eyes like literally in every room, but it just made me feel it just felt right to do that. So visualization's always been really powerful technique in manifestation. It really is, because that frequency, like when you visualize it, like you got to match that frequency. And obviously we got the house. And what was spooky as well was we'd only just started looking for homes because we got residency so we could buy a house. And I remember thinking like, what do I want in a house? Because I grew up in the UK, so I didn't really know like what the homes are here are different and they're built different. I remember thinking like driving around Hamilton, well, I want a corner plot and I want this and I would like that and I'd love a porch. But I remember saying to Chris, I don't want a full wraparound porch because full wraparound porches block a lot of light coming into the down. I was so specific, like I'm literally reeling off this specific. When you've seen the house, like it's got a side porch, and I wanted a bit of a side porch so I could sit there and have a hot tub and like honestly, and the uncanny stuff of the things that the whiteboard for you, I wanted a freestanding
Totally.
bath,
Oh,
like
all the details.
just
Like, it was just,
and I
yeah.
just
And I think this is the bit though, and I love this one phrase that like dropped in years ago, and I teach it everywhere, is never surprised and always in awe.
yeah.
And this is the part that gets to be really fun and playful when we are manifesting and when we are bringing in miracles in our lives and circumstances that most people don't think are possible, is like never surprised, being like, of course, and still this awe and
Yeah.
appreciation for the miraculous nature of the
Yeah.
universe, of how it works. And I love that, how like we can sit here and be like, oh, of course it's gonna fucking get the house of all the thing.
Mm.
And thank you. Like, thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, 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 thank you outside of me, thank you inside of me for doing the work to be able to be in the place of receiving it. Um, And that's like the one other piece that, when you're talking about timing, that I think is really important as well, is that it's not only all of the external pieces, it's also that in order for us to be a match for that person, experience, job, money, whatever it is, it's trusting that we're continuing to become who we need to be in order to have
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so what's the one thing that's always within your influence is showing up in your own personal growth and evolution to continue to be the match for that thing.
Yes.
It was like 3 years I was single, like 3 years coming out of 17 years of being in long-term relationships, all the way from when I was 13 years old, right? And like 3 years of me going, I do not want to repeat patterns of the past in relationships.
Yeah.
The next one is going to be the container. And so it was 3 years of showing up and commitment to my fucking self,
Yeah.
like showing up in the growth, learning the communication skills, doing the trauma work, like realizing that the things I was saying yes to was actually no's, learning that it was a no, learning about myself along the way. Like, fuck, the growth in that space of time is
Yeah.
astronomical, and knowing, and I fucking had doubt. Like, I'm not going to glorify it. Like, I had moments of seeing all my friends with partners, and it wasn't a jealousy thing. What it was, fuck, I'm holding so much in my life. Like, when do I get to be held?
Yeah.
And it was just like, why? And then why don't I get to be held? Why don't I get to be supported? Those stories played a part. Like, it wasn't just this total trust and faith the whole time. However, what I could influence is me showing up for myself. I
Yeah.
was like, okay. I would visualize him out there doing the work, and I was like, oh my gosh, and this is what it's going to feel like. I would do the
Yeah.
morning meditations of him lying next to me, bringing in all the senses. But that trust piece of, I couldn't have met Michael 6 months earlier. He couldn't have met me 6 months earlier.
No, it's timing.
Like,
It's
we
it's
couldn't have met each
perfect
other three
timing.
months earlier. It's you just, what you get to do is to commit to becoming who you are meant to be a match for what it is that you're
Yep.
wanting to bring in and manifest. And that's fucking awesome, because there's nothing you can lose from that. There are no
Yeah.
risks involved when you commit to your own growth. The only things that you can gain are positive things. And even if those are experiences that teach you what a no is, sometimes we'll manifest people in so that we get to learn how to have healthy boundaries. Sometimes we'll manifest a job so we can say, actually, I'm so committed to my aligned path, I'm going to say no to that because there's something better coming. And that's the part that it's really important we have that connection to our body and our intuition, so we get to have that discernment. And that's what I feel like is fine-tuned, like, over time. Like, the more that you practice these things, the more committed you are to yourself and into your body and into your mind, the easier it is to manifest, to call in, to do these things.
Yeah, one thing that I always loved, what I learned with manifestation when I read all the different manifestation books, was it's never a no from the universe. It's either a yes and not yet, or I have something better in mind. So
Totally.
it technically is never a no. It might just not turn up as you expect it, but it's letting go of expectation as well, isn't it? Like, you have, like, you visualize whatever it is you want, like the partner in the house or whatever it is, but how it shows up is the universe's job. As like
Yeah.
Showie said, if you're showing up for yourself on a daily basis, doing the work, putting self first, because you are so important in the process, the universe is just doing its thing behind the scenes. It's like, I think we complicate manifestation because when we manifest things that are challenging, challenging experiences in our life, we think, well, why would I want to manifest that? People get into that victim mentality of, well, I wouldn't want to manifest that. I went through some really challenging things last year, which technically I wouldn't think I'd want to manifest, because who'd want to manifest stuff like that? But I realized that I had to manifest those things to be where I am now, right now on the 7th of October of 2024. Those things last year got me to where I am now. And it's like, you start to play around with the curiosity, and then having this trust that it's showing up for me for so many reasons that I may not be able to see, and I may not never see them, but I've got to trust that they're there for my path. I've got to trust that they're showing up for me to be a better person, to be a kinder person, to be a more connected person. Like you said, you had to have more money to afford the house, and it's like, Chris and I have been going through a big financial shift the last four weeks, and it's been tough, very challenging. But I've said, you know what, to the universe, if I need to work a bit longer, I will. And the clients have just been reeling in. I've just been like, oh, I get to help these people before I go off on maternity leave. Woo! And it's like, yeah, it's not been the income as like it's not been the highest of income like what Chris would bring in, but it's been enough to get us where we need to. It's kept us fed, it's kept us going. We've paid some bills, we've had to push obviously some bills back, which is fine. There's days where I
Totally.
was like in a rut. I'm not going to lie, in the last 4 weeks, I'd say 2 days out of the 4 weeks, there's days where you just get in those ruts and you're like, oh God, and you just feel, you can feel it, and that's okay. Like, we all have those days. But what picks me up is that faith in the universe. I'm going through this for such a bigger reason. I can't see it right now, because when you're in it, you can't see it until you're out of it and you can look back at it. So in the moment, I have to kind of think, I'm going to look back at this part of my life for so many reasons. I may know some of them, I may not know some of them. But even now, like, as we're moving through this challenge, Chris and I are already starting to see the blessings. There's always a
Yeah.
blessing in it. And I think that's the key, is like, find the blessing in everything, because there's one, at least. There's at least one. And it keeps you going on that path. It keeps you connected, it keeps you surrendered, that this is showing up for you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
The one piece in this that I would really like to be sensitive around, though, because this conversation could
Mm.
easily create a shame or a
Yeah.
guilt cycle,
Yeah.
or a mistrust in the universe, is, I'm thinking of like the mama that loses her child,
Mm.
and I really do not want this conversation to come across of, well, that mum manifested that.
Yeah, no.
It's actually going is that this is a part of the life experience
Yeah.
that you can play with frequency,
Yeah.
with and going, so what can I do to continue to call in and to be of that? However, I personally don't believe it's only our frequency that calls in great tragedies, that calls in
Mm.
loss, that calls in these things. There are many other things that are happening. There's soul contracts, there's a lot of things that are playing out that are not us calling them in. That still absolutely
Yeah.
we can grow from, and they can be character building. However, like, just being really careful
Yeah,
of,
definitely.
oh, well, like, I don't want anyone to listen and go, well, I don't, like, how did I manifest this really fucking deep heart aching tragedy that I cannot even comprehend right now?
Mm.
Um, and instead coming from that way of like, okay, so just what can you do right now with the capacity you have that is going to help to just shift gently that frequency that you're sitting at, so that we can call in some more love, some more support, some more abundance, whatever that is. But yeah, because I know that that's
Definitely.
something, again, that isn't spoken out enough about
Mm.
in this, and that like everything is happening for you, and I'm like, oh, that would be really fucking hard for someone to hear
Yeah.
if they're going through something like that. It's, yeah, so I just wanted to share that because
Yeah,
that felt really
definitely.
important.
Like, it's that element, isn't it, of like experience and challenges. And when you come, like, we're really spiritual people, Shao, so we know that we come down to earth to experience different things. And I think it, like you said, you wouldn't want to manifest something like that. That's that sensitivity around it. And I totally agree, because it's like, some of the tragedies I've experienced, I think, like, who would want to go through that? Like, who? And you see it with other people, in life, of like going through tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, and thinking like, but like you said, the soul contracts, the karmic lessons, the experiences, the challenges, coming down to earth to have this human experience. And maybe that's another topic we can talk about as well, is like what this human experience looks like. Because I think, like, a lot, well, a lot of my spiritual teachers say we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And sometimes a
Totally.
human experience sucks. It's fucking shit. Like, it's so, like, how, when it comes to manifestation, it can be quite triggering for people, can't it? Because it's like, well, how can I manifest from a place like that? Like,
And also, being very sensitive and culturally aware of the fact that we were born as white women.
yeah.
Like, we were born into natural privilege,
Mm.
because of how we incarnated,
Yeah.
and so it's going like, we do have more resources and tools, and we live in a first world country, and all of those things. And so again, like, within this, that sensitivity to what's
Yeah.
accessible However, it's coming from that place of like, the thing I love about this conversation is that we all have our own minds, our own bodies, our own energy fields. And there's a very powerful, disempowering agenda that is happening throughout our whole world, which is taking us away from our innate power and ability. So, regardless of our current life circumstances or situations or whatever we're born into, like if we can really drop that in as like a seed to plant, like a seed to plant to seed to
Yes,
plant.
yes.
Yeah.
No, a plant to seed.
And anyway, is that you get to have that. Like
Mm.
nobody else gets to decide how you think, how you feel, like what you can do. And yes, there's belief systems that can be in there around us. However, that's yours. Like that's yours. Your frequency is yours. Your energy is yours. Like your mind is yours. Your body is yours. And these are the really powerful things you can do when you get to create more activation and awareness of your
Mm.
system as a fucking like magnet. We are
Yeah.
magnets. We speak about the res, like in the brain, you're magnetizing constantly. This has been one of my like mantras I've been working with. It's like, I'm magnetic. Like
Mm.
I'm magnetic, and like wealth is just like coming to me. Clients come to me, opportunities, ideas. Like I don't even have to do
Mm.
anything.
Yeah.
I'm just like magnetic, and it's just fucking incredible. Like again, like I'm never surprised, but I'm always in awe. And then I just get these emails. Hey, can you do this? Do you want to work on this? Do you want to do
Yeah.
that? Can I do that?
Yeah.
And it's that going like we are magnets. So what is it that we're feeding the system that we're programming in order to bring
Mm.
into us? So yeah, just those like
Yeah,
sensitivity things around
you like
conversation
you
as well.
hit the nail on the head because we can only speak from being a white woman. I don't know what it
Totally.
feels like to be third. I don't know what the experience is. I can't speak
Yeah.
for those people. I have
Yeah.
understanding. I have compassion. So it's
Mhm.
like really important you bring that up because like we can only talk from our perspective, and that's everybody
And
in life,
knowing that we're
isn't it?
privileged.
Yeah.
you know
The,
and not fucking breezing that over, because I
yeah.
do. It's one thing I see like quite a lot in like the
Yeah.
spiritual world, and I'm like, yeah, and you have much more accessibility and
Mm.
resources.
Yeah.
So just that, and like we can't change our circumstances. This is how we are in this
Yeah.
life. However, being very, and so this is the part that lights me up about this though, is fucking use it. If you're
Mm.
born with natural privileges, use it to help the people without the privileges.
Yes,
Like
definitely.
use the power of manifestation to bring wealth in, to bring opportunities in, to bring like support in, so the people that don't have the
Mm.
opportunities to get it.
Yeah.
And this is what it is to be participating in life and participating in society as a tuned in fucking frequency with what you're calling in.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Well,
as I'd say, nearly every single person listening to
yeah.
this, you have more capability than you're even aware of right now, and you can create ripples that you can't even
Yes.
comprehend, and
Yeah.
start comprehending it, and get
Yeah, it's
excited and with it.
the power that we have. Like you can manifest for others. And I've always had this mantra around like
100%.
what I want for myself, I desire it more for others because
Mhm.
that's that give and receive too, is like I desire that for other
More?
people too.
Can it be the same though? Because more
Well,
is
so
like
it
a
was
you're not
so
too much.
how I resonated with that phrase was when I was listening to Wayne Dyer, he was talking about the Tao and like service to others and give and receive. And he said there was a quote he said, and I have to find it. He said, "What you desire for yourself, desire it more
Mhm.
for others." And it took
Mhm.
me a while to have that concept because I was like, well, from a people pleaser aspect, that for me would be like, well, okay, everyone else's desires are before mine. So
Mhm.
I had to sit with the concept for a while, and I kind of get what he's trying to say. He's like,
Mhm.
desires I have for myself, if someone else was desiring them, manifest that power and desire for them too. And I
Amplify.
get that concept. We're not all going to have the
Mhm.
same desires, but I
Mhm.
think it comes from that kindness and that service to others. Is that, if I knew you were trying to call in a partner, which you were at the time, I would want that for you just as bad for me, that because it's just because you're my friend and I love you, but again, for a stranger too, I want that for other people as well to experience that. So that was that element. And also, I don't know if you've ever done this, but the language thing around that always being surprised and the awe thing is that the amount of times you'd say, I can't believe I've got this house. I can't believe I've
I
got,
don't ever say that.
yep. So it was like I had to switch around. I can believe it. I can
Hmm.
believe it. Totally can believe it. And then there's a book Wayne written called Not I'll Believe It When I See It. I'll see it when I believe it.
Hmm.
Is that the right way around? Not
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
plant, the seed, the plant. It was the so not
Yeah.
like the phrase around like I'll see it when I
I
believe it.
already believe it
Oh no,
without having the physical evidence.
yeah,
Yeah,
just trusting that.
absolutely.
That's a really good book recommendation too, one
Hmm.
of Wayne's. And he spoke about the power of intention as well. Like the power of intention is massive. So they're like my Wayne's talks about manifestation a lot, but like I used to say it all the time, I can't believe that. Like because it's a natural thing to just say like out loud. But when I started to catch myself, I'd think, no, I can believe it. Yeah, I can believe it because I do believe it, you know?
I used to have friends that would put in requests for me to manifest through my orgasms.
Yes.
Because that's how that it's like
Yeah.
it's a very conscious part of
Yeah.
my pleasure practice is
Yeah.
that I visualize and I use the frequency of pleasure, which is a very potent high frequency energy,
Mm.
to call in. And so
Yeah.
now I go into like conscious pleasure sessions when Michael and Ryan are at their expos and I like call in money and stuff for them at the expo.
I
I'll
love
be
it.
like, and they're like, fuck yeah, we've got like the sex magic witch on board with the beta team. And I have these like visualizations of like Michael and I, and we've just got like money is like raining down on us, you
Yeah.
know, and it's exactly that though, right? It does no harm to us to
Mm.
yeah to practice being in the frequency of that for others as well.
Yeah.
Like it's just so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some
Um
what are some practice to finish with? What are some practical tools that people can do from listening to this episode? They're like, okay, right, I'm gonna try. I want to manifest my dream house, my dream partner, my dream job, whatever it is you want. And they might not be as big as that. It could just be I want to manifest some more money every month, or I want to manifest,
totally.
a new dress, whatever it is. So, what are some tools that really worked for you?
Mm. So, like I said before, an accumulation of tools. Visualization and meditation. I would highly recommend the Joe Dispenza ones. He's got so many great ones in
Yeah.
abundance. Or Jess Shepherd, she's Rising High Meditations on Spotify. She's got some really great visualizations for different things as well. So them as regular practices, like I'm starting and finishing every day with Joe Dispenza
Yeah.
meditations. There's also a like affirmations. I listen to like an affirmation, like spoken affirmations on Spotify around. You can do them particular
Yeah.
things, but you know, like and then you actually speak them out loud, and it's great with those because you can just put them on play, speak them out loud, writing them down as well. So writing down like what I'm calling in and where I'm at, and you know all those kinds of things. Be really specific, like be specific and then
Yeah.
surrender to it. This will
Yeah.
better. Nervous system health practices. So you can sit there as much as you like and do those things, but if you're not looking after your system to create more space for them, well, then there's not going to be the space for them to come in, you
Mm.
know. So it is like the havening and breath work and cold water therapy and like saunas, like looking after your physical vessel. Everything that you're doing is either saying to the universe, I care about myself or I don't care about myself.
Yeah.
So if you're not like regularly exercising, if you're not eating predominantly healthy food, you know, we're not going to be fucking
Yeah.
like strict about it. But you're either saying, I deserve this because if I treat myself well, then I'm going to be treated well from outside of me.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting there like self-sabotaging your life, well, then it's not going to be in alignment, right? If you've identified that there are major blocks to things like, you know, like major beliefs around money, relationships, health, jobs, like whatever they are, if it is something you require the extra support in, work with a therapist, work with like Pip or I, you know, do somatic work
Yeah.
to help those things to be moved through. Go and see a breathwork facilitator. Like there are some big things that will sit there as blocks. If you do not work with them, they will stay there.
Yeah.
And then the art and practice of surrender.
Yeah.
You know, of non-attachment to the outcome, of knowing you're doing
Yeah.
everything and then letting it go. And then that next kind of part is you'll 100% get tested. You'll get the thing that's kind of it. you'll get like a little bit of it. And the next invitation for you is to say, like, thank you so much for this test. That is not actually what I'm calling
Yeah.
in. I'm just going to move right along. um, yeah, utilizing the mind, body, soul,
Yeah.
and taking care of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. All of them are amazing. And I'd probably add to them is have fun. So start small. If you have like kind
Yeah.
of a doubt coming in about it, I would definitely start fun. Do some manifestation challenges if you see any online. I used to do 7 day ones and it was great. I used to like say I'm gonna manifest $5 today and like someone would buy me a coffee and I'd be like, woohoo, $5. And it'd just be like fun or like having the color, like
Yeah.
all of you now listening, I want you to actually do this and then message me and Shao. I want you to think of a color. So I want you to do it as well, Shao. So think of a color, boom,
Mhm.
and think of an object or an animal. You will see this at some
Mhm.
point in the near future. And when you
Mhm.
do, I want you to send it to Wisdom of Womanhood and be like, holy shit, that pink elephant just came up and just that.
Totally.
And you start to go, oh, and then you then try something else and just have a little bit of fun with it because when it's fun, your frequency is like way higher. Like it's, if you're
Totally.
having that inner child fun, like that wonder,
Mhm.
like, so that would be definitely one thing that I would do anyway. And then in your home, one thing that I really found really powerful for me was decluttering, making space for the manifestations. Like I'm not saying like just kind of go through your whole house and declutter the whole thing. Everyone's got one of those drawers in the kitchen that needs a sort out. What's
Mhm.
like, that's why I love feng shui because feng shui is big
Taking
for
up space.
manifestation and like what if you got
Mhm.
things under your bed, is your life set up for a partner? Is your home set up to have a partner? Have you got a lot of single things around like single photos? And so there's a lot of things there which there's so many different examples, but think of that, is my life set up for what I desire? Is it set up
Yeah.
for that? So decluttering was awesome, and we used to do little like have print off the manifestation check and write a check for like whatever it was and stick it on the wall. And so for me, it's the fun part of it, definitely
I love
adding on
that.
to everything Showy said because they're all
Mhm.
amazing. Because that visualization for me is the big one and how it feels like when it's here, like that partner's in your life. Oh, I feel, just getting the feelings of it too and buzzy feelings. So they would be mine for manifestation. And I think playing around with it, have a play. And like you said, that's specific. You probably heard it before, like going into a restaurant and being like, can I order some food? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what
You
exactly
ain't
do
getting
you
what
want?
you want,
Yeah.
girlfriend.
You need to be specific. So they would be mine.
Uh, and if you would like to find out more about orgasmic manifestation, I did just share a post on it. And I actually, in the post, like give an exercise to go through. Actually, I'll share this because it is like so delicious. So when I did manifest my dream partner, the first night that we spent together, we were making sweet love, and he was behind me whispering into my ear like, you are a fucking queen, like you are a goddess, like all of these, like legit, like I fucking adore you, like you're so fucking sexy, like all of this, right? And then my body is like even more fucking turned on than it was already. And then he says to me, what are you calling in? Like, what are you calling? Like, what is it? Like, what are you fucking like craving? Like, what is the life? And then we're speaking into it. I'm like answering him, and I'm like, yeah, like just like, more heart-led experiences and more pleasure and more play and more abundance and more wealth and all these things as we're like in pleasure and as we're connected and our hearts are expansive. And
Mm.
it's like utilizing, and that can be like, I mean I self-pleasured him into my life through
Yeah,
manifestation.
yeah.
So it can be for you if you're in partnerships or if you're not in partnerships, but utilize like, the orgasmic sensations because
Mm.
you're at a more heightened state in
Yeah.
those as well. Like we regularly go into things and we'll be like, cool, what are we manifesting with this like sex session, and it's really fun. So yeah, orgasmic manifestation. That's like the last sexy little, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I give
awesome.
I give a description of how to do it in the post. You
Yeah.
can go and get them.
Yes. There's so many tools and literally you could literally Google like manifestation resources and loads of the big top ones like Manifestation Babe, The rich, what's
Mm.
the lady, Amanda, she does the Rich as Fuck book. They have so many resources online you can look into, there's so many books out there as well. So I just have, like you said, the pleasure side of it, have fun with it because it just,
Oh,
this,
so fun.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Beautiful.
awesome.
Amazing. And share with us. We want to hear your manifestation success stories.
I know, I can't wait to hear about them.
Mm,
Oh,
mm,
awesome.
mm. Hey, okay, let's finish with what is the next piece to your life that you are calling in?
It's around my birth, manifesting I want the water birth.
Water birth. Beautiful.
A calm, a calm, empowered birth, no matter what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, yum. That's a great segue into our next episode.
Oh yes, dear, that's a little sneaky, sneaky.
Nice.
What about you?
Um, I am manifesting an incredible community of people coming into my next platform that I've just launched today, the Holistic
I
Sexologist.
saw it. I'm like,
Which,
wow. Yes.
so I'm manifesting in a community of like-minded people that are inspired to become educated, to have better sex, to learn how to heal their trauma, to have me as their practitioner to support them. But just like a movement and a community. Like I'm
Yeah.
just calling in all the people that are at the frequency of me that want to come on board for this because I can just feel that I'm being manifested by these people at the same time. So that feels really exciting.
It is done, baby.
Yeah. So good. Hey, yeah. So if you're listening to this, come and follow me on social media platforms at the Holistic Sexologist.
Love it. I just love it.
Yeah, me
Awesome.
too.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's great.
Okay.
Great. I can't wait. Can't wait to see it boom.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Okay, love you all.
Love
Mwah,
you all.
mwah, mwah.